Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, we're not going to keep doing it twice, but good afternoon. Couple things before we get started. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Brentwood. Yay. My name is Jennifer Bourne. I am your fearless leader this year. Thank you. You wouldn't mind, just because a couple meetings in a row, cell phones have gone off. Please turn your cell phones off just to be respectful to the speaker, just so that doesn't happen today. Before we kick off with our invocation, I want to welcome back Jeff Brown. If you guys remember, he has been, and he's going to be up here in just a moment, but he is online and he is back. He is recovering, and sometime he'll show up there, but we're excited. Welcome back, Jeff. There he is. All right, our invocation today will be led by John Thompson and our pledge and four-way test by Bob Searcy.
Join me as I pray, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather around these tables as a community, as leaders, as participants, as neighbors. And I pray, Father, that you would grant us the insight and the ability to be able to recognize needs among us. We lift up our own as members here are wrestling with things perhaps that are not public and with maladies and issues that are physical. I pray that you would heal them, that you would bring them back to health. Father, I pray that you would open our eyes, though, to those needs, and that we too have a responsibility and a privilege to help fulfill those through service. We're grateful for this community, thankful that you love us and care for us, and we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
As we celebrate 250 years, join me in Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Also join me for the four-way test of things we think, say, and do. First, second, third, fourth.
All right, and next up is our club secretary, Jennifer Shepard, to introduce guests and visiting Rotarians.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Look at all this in my hands. We've got a lot. We have a lot going on today, which is fantastic. So we've got two potential members that I'm going to introduce as a guest for the last time, because they should be inducted today. So we've got Rhonda Formby and there's Kimberly Calco. And then we've got a former member, familiar face. Where'd you go, Jason? Jason Cook is here. So everybody say hey to Jason. It's good to see you. And Laura Troop has a guest, Jody Mitchell.
Jody is one of my best friends from college, and she's in town from St. Louis this week. Jody has lots of dirt on me, but I have dirt back on her, so don't ask any question.
There you go. And Jason has a guest, Shandy.
Yeah, Shandy, she's new to the area with her husband from South Florida. She's with Alliance Family Services and is interested in joining. So please greet her accordingly. Thanks.
And Larry Kane has a guest named David Graves.
It's an honor to introduce you to David Graves. David contacted me about joining our club. He's a fairly relatively new in Nashville. Went to Lipscomb University though, but new in Brentwood. So David, tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Larry, and glad to be here. Like Larry said, my name is David Graves. I live in Antioch with my family. I have a wife and a young daughter, 18 months old. But I am a Nashville native. Moved to North Carolina when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Came back to go to Lipscomb. I'm very familiar with the work of the Rotary Club. My grandfather has been a member of Nashville Rotary for a long time, so familiar through the work with him. And yeah, just looking to maybe get involved, and so I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And we've got another visitor who's visited a couple times before, Ty Vogel. The first time you came, I caught you with a mouthful of food. Do you want to say something?
I guess just thanks for having me. I'm also kind of a native. I went to middle school and high school and went to BGA, played football there, and I want to be a part of the community and try to help out as much as I can. So I hate public speaking, but thank you. Oh, and I'm a chiropractor.
And we've got a couple of guests of our speakers. Charles Crump is the paparazzi back there that you see. It's not, don't worry, it's not TMZ. We don't need Brentwood on TMZ twice in 1 week, so we'll be good. And Artem Smith, did I pronounce? Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. Oh, can I say real quick, all the shoes that you guys brought, we took them to Chattanooga last week for the Rotary Conference, and it was like 3 or 4 states, and they donated, the total was over 10,000 pairs of shoes. Our district brought in more than any other of the Rotary districts, and Souls for Souls said it was the single biggest donation day they've ever had in the history of their nonprofit.
Okay, now we'll go into announcements. The first thing we're going to do is my favorite thing that we get to do as a club is we're going to induct 2 new members. And just for perspective, number 8 and number 9 for this Rotary year and the number of members who've joined so far. So we're excited to have you guys. Stephen Hammers is going to come up and going to introduce Kimberly Cocote to our club.
You know, when I was president last year, we didn't have this many members at this time. Is it all because of you? Well, let me introduce Kimberly Cocote. Kimberly and her husband, Brian, of nearly 20 years, are originally from Louisiana. They call Tennessee their home. Kimberly and her husband, Brian, who actually moved to Tennessee in 2016. They then moved to Williamson County in 2018. And she only has 4 children. 18 years old, who's getting ready to go to Lipscomb, 16, 13, and 10. So she doesn't have enough to do. On top of all that, Kimberly earned her Bachelor's of Science in Management with a concentration on human resources at the other SEC school called LSU. Currently, she's a realtor with Benchmark Realty, where she has served Middle Tennessee area for the last 8 years. She spends a lot of her time outside of her children, volunteering in Williamson County schools at the elementary, middle school, and high school level because she has so many kids. And all 4 kids go to 4 different schools. My gosh. She actually volunteers for the PTO, sports with her children's in the district, also a district-led technology committee. Kimberly also volunteers through the Republican Women of Williamson County, raising money and awareness for charities in our community, which she's perfect for our club, as well as serving on the board as first vice president and previously as a legislative campaign chairman. She also has had the pleasure of volunteering in the children's ministry at Fellowship Bible Church, which we go to the same church together, and her husband's in my life group. She also volunteers with children in the student ministries. She's a champion of children in education. She worked alongside the Republican General Assembly and helped pass legislation and conservative members of the Williamson County School Board to enhance parent protection rights to keep appropriate materials for our children. So she is amazing for our club. It's exactly who we want. So I'd offer you Kimberly as a new member of our club.
Jared's going to take a picture of you too.
District 6.
All right. And if that wasn't enough, Kimberly and her husband, Brian, did come and served with us at Rise Against Hunger, which was a really good time. I know I mentioned that in the past. Okay, next up, Asan is going to come and introduce Rhonda Formby to our club.
by the way, who has not watched Kimberly's interview on Williamson Inc. should watch. It's a really good interview, Kimberly. That's really good. Okay. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Rhonda, whose story blends creativity, leadership, and deep passion for community. We saw Rhonda here first time when we had Stephanie Coleman, the Nashville Chambers president, and Rhonda joined at that time with the team. But let's start with a fun fact. Rhonda was Miss Texas in 1991.
Why do we lead with that?
And she was top 10 in Miss America. So, and also I think Rhonda mentioned it's important to highlight that scholarship helped us to go through the college and everything debt-free, which is a big thing. Rhonda and her husband Chance are originally from Arlington, Texas, and have called Nashville home for last 26 years. This June, they celebrated 31 years of marriage. Together, they share a deep passion for historic preservation through their company, Keystone Building Group, which has received multiple historic preservation awards in Davidson County and being recognized again this year for their work. Their passion became very personal about 7 years ago when Rhonda found a log home for sale here in Brentwood, originally built in 1970s by Tom and Betty Ward. I think some of our members know them. I think it's down the road from Curry's home. While people wanted to tear it down, but Rhonda and Chance chose to restore it. And Tom Ward was 95 at the time and deeply cared about preserving the home, especially the hardwood floors and brick floors. So it's probably a place for our next social. I think that's something to look for. That's right. Rhonda and Chance have a 15-year-old son, Dash, a freshman at Brentwood High School, and he's on a golf team heading to state with their choir this spring. So clearly, talent runs in the family. They attend Brentwood Baptist Church, and their home is completed by 2 dogs, Yogi and Quinn. Now, the fun part is I think Rhonda is going to be a great addition to our club because she can sing, she runs events, she has done. So I think, Larry, you're looking at an amazing committee member for your golf committee to run a lot of funds for us. So Rhonda, we are very excited to officially welcome you. And I believe you're very excited to be part of Brentwood Rotary. We're lucky to have you. Thank you. Please join me welcoming Rhonda. Thank you, Rhonda. We'll have to take a picture. Thank you.
Yes.
You can take it at the end.
No, okay. Thank you. Okay. Well, welcome to the club, ladies. A couple announcements to go over with you guys. First thing is, I'm very looking forward to this. Hassan and I spoke this past week, and I'm sharing this with the club, but after his introduction of Rhonda, we're going to start April 10th doing member moments, and we're going to be having the new members, and then we're going to go back into sharing a couple minutes about what we do in the announcement section. So I cannot wait to hear yours or have the song and dance up here about the Miss America stuff. So share that with you guys. Tomorrow, what's happening tomorrow at Bob's house? Yes. Karaoke. And you're going to be there to do it. Yes, you are. She heard it, Bob. We heard it. We heard it from the horse's mouth right there. Okay, so tomorrow night is social at Bob Thompson's house from 6 to 8. Information is in reflections. If you have questions on the address, all of that, please let us know because we'd love to see you there. Okay, and then Pancake Day. What day is Pancake Day? I feel like I'm quizzing you guys today. Oh, guys. Get your phones out. I said turn them off. Let's get your phones out and put it on your calendar. April 18th. This is our annual event. It's our community event. It's one of our raising money events. If you haven't been, our new folks, it's wonderful. It's a great event. We do it in conjunction with Cars for Kids and with Blood Assurance. So don't give blood. I'm not going to name who already did it that I know about, but don't give blood. If you are, would love to sign up for 4/18 Pancake Day. Is there anything else? I don't think anybody's in the room that's doing it. All right. Well, then they'll have to take that. Okay. Next up, Larry Kane. Yeah, I said that, Cars for Kids.
Yeah, great. If you like cars, great car show at the pancake breakfast. Okay, does everybody recognize this? It's what I forgot last week. So on your table, there's plenty of these. Everybody, please take one. I know paper is antiquated. You don't use paper, right? I give you this for one reason. There's two things in here that you will need, and I want you to always be able to find it. You may not be able to find it on your phone, but if you can find your folder, you can find it. So I'm not going to go over everything in here because it's mostly information about the golf tournament, but I want to show you two things in here, make sure everybody sees it. When you open the folder up, on the right-hand side is the website for the golf tournament. The most important thing you can have. Anything you need to know about the website, about your sponsorships, about what's available, anything, you can go on the website and it's going to be on there. The website's updated every day. It's easy to use. You saw it last week when we had it up here, and you just hit one blue button that says registration, and it'll show you everything you need to know. So keep this handy so you've got the website right there, okay? The other most important thing to me, there's also a list in there of the sponsorships, which that changes obviously as we sell more of them. That'll change regularly, and I'll send this out to your team captains. But this is also on the website, and it's updated daily. So I just got that in there so you can see what's available. What I think is the most important paper in here is the one I talk about every year. And this is for the people who say, God, Larry, I want to help you. I don't know who to call. Who do I call? How do I find somebody what do I do? Here's your answer. On the back side of the right side of your paper, there is potential businesses. I guarantee you, promise you, you know at least 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people on this list. So if you're thinking, I don't know who to call, pull this list out and just start down the list, and you'll find somebody on there. You go, oh yeah, I know him. Oh yeah, I know them. That's who I can call. So use this list. I guarantee you it's valuable. And at the very bottom of the list on the right-hand side, you will see, they will see that in dark print, there's one that says, I can't read. Where are my glasses? It says the rich guy who likes you. Well, that's serious. The rich guy who likes you, ask some people in this room who got some big donations where they got them. So anyway, those two things, the list, the website, it's all on here. Take it home. If you want another folder, I'll give you 2 folders, but there's plenty on the table for everybody. I hear somebody. Do what? Well, I already do sponsor a hole. There's a hole out there everywhere that for the last 2 years it said in memory of Sue B. Kane.
The rich guy that likes him.
Oh. Any other questions? What?
You're the rich guy.
Oh, I'm the rich. No, I'm not the rich guy. I'm a retired banker. Come on. Thank y'all.
All right, thanks, Larry. Okay, next up, Keely Hall is going to do Happy Bucks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Major League Baseball had opening day this week. We are hot in 16 NCAA tournaments. The 76ers superstar Rod Freeman in our midst. And Curry is wearing some fabulous racehorse socks. There's probably some non-sports things going on in this world, but let's just start with that. So I got a question for you. Here is are you happy? Oh no, we're gonna do this again. No. So I am ecstatic because good old Jeff Brown has joined us today. Jeff, glad to see you. All right, Mr. Bowers. Mr. Bowers is happy.
I am actually ecstatic that these folders are no longer in Larry's trunk.
All right, we got more happiness. Keep me running around.
Couple things I put a 5 in. First of all, we need to introduce Mr. Isaiah here. Did everybody notice our special guest today? Sweet thing. This is Laura's new addition to her family. So Jennifer Shepard and I had the opportunity to go to PETS this past weekend. For those of you in the room that don't know, PET stands for President-elect Training Susie Seminar. There you go. Thank you. And it's a really fantastic weekend. There's a president nominee section, a president-elect section where they get you trained and ready for your year. Susie's a major part of that. She's the logistics chair for the district. 6760 did win the shoe drive, and Susie sent me the stats on it. So the way that rolled out was everybody took their shoes, and there was a place to drop off behind the Chattanooga Convention Center. And the Souls for Souls folks that were there, I guess rented a little box truck, because those of us from Middle Tennessee hauled all these shoes to Chattanooga for them to put them in a box truck and bring them back to Nashville. We could have thrown them out the window on the way. It'd been quicker, but they started out with a little box truck. What they ended up with by the time drop-off was over was a semi, because they filled it. When I dropped off, there was about 8 district elected officers out on the Greenway, literally throwing bags of shoes from a huge line of cars waiting on the truck to get there. It was quite amazing. Listen to what they did. 10,281 pairs of shoes collected, in addition to a $1,500 donation. It impacts 11 families in third world countries by providing them an opportunity to make income. Its economic impact is almost $100,000, and it ended up being about 12,000, almost 13,000 pounds of shoes, the most they've ever collected. They couldn't believe it. So anyways, thank you. And if you forgot to bring your shoes, there's going to be another opportunity in May. The district is having its first conference, a district only conference in Louisville. I'll be going if anybody wants to go. I'd love to have a roommate and a ride, but you'll have another opportunity. So thank you for your donations. It's amazing. So if you ever think about getting in line with Rotary, PETS is an amazing experience. So thank you.
All right. We're starting the lightning round. We got 2 more minutes. Come on, there we go.
Use all 2 minutes then, but my heart is full. And I just wanted to share with you why, because 3 years ago, all of our lives changed just a little bit. And today, to kind of mark that date, kids from the Covenant School showed up at our community to love on our residents and to bring a message that we're supposed to share with everyone we see, which is, please be quick to listen to others and slow to speak. And if we're angry, let it go. And then they said, remember that if you've done anything wrong, even if it's something huge, God will forgive you. And they said it over and over at our thing. So my heart is full.
Okay, after that beautiful happy bucks, I just have $5 for hallelujah bucks that we have another LSU fan finally. Thank
you. Oh no. You got a new coach too. Nashville guy. You know that. I've got $1 in here. We talked about basketball. It's the playoffs, and we talked about Freeman. Everybody knows about Rodney and Vanderbilt and all that stuff, but very few people know that Mr. Andrews was all village in Detroit in high school. All village.
Impressive. We got rebuttal.
No rebuttal. I'm just happy to see Lewis down there. So Lewis, good to see you, buddy.
All right. We got I don't even know what's coming.
$2. Tiny. And let's see, our new member, Kimberly. Is it Kimberly? Yeah, congratulations on your basketball coach. Will Wade, he's from Nashville and the most controversial coach in NCAA, to go with Lane Kiffin and Kim Mulkey. But hey, listen, 354 days and Ole Miss plays for a national championship.
All right, 30 more seconds of madness. Here we go. There's one more. Get it ready.
Here's to the Vandy women, Sweet 16.
All right, going once, going twice.
Hey, thanks, Keely. Okay, next up is Rob Iker to introduce our speaker, Trey Hargett, to the club.
Thank you. Trey Hargett used to be my boss, and he said, "Who's introducing me?" I said, "I am." He said, "Keep it short." I said, "Yes, sir." So I'm just going to tell you just one quick thing. Like I said, he was my boss. He in 2009 gave a blessing to me and my family, let me go to work for his relatively new administration. He is the Secretary of State of Tennessee. Early in my 5-year tenure with the Department of State, Secretary Hargett collaborated with his associates to develop the department's mission statement, which says, "Our mission is to exceed the expectations of our customers, the taxpayers, by operating at the highest level of accuracy, cost effectiveness, and accountability in a customer-centered environment." That's a great mission statement, and I can tell you that he operates his Department of State government exactly like that. It's the exact kind of leadership you want to head up a state agency. That's all I'm going to say. I'll let Trey tell you all about his amazing CV and everything he does. Please welcome the 38th Secretary of State of the great state of Tennessee, 37th Secretary of State of Tennessee.
Close enough. It just feels like it's been that long, Rob. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I think Andy Holt spoke to y'all last week. Was that right? He's texting me right now telling me that, hey, you'll be the second best speaker they've had this month. So no, I was already been told multiple times what a fantastic job he did. I'm not surprised. Andy is a very knowledgeable person, very entertaining person as well. So I've been told the bar has been raised high. So I'll do my best here. So just a few things. Let's be real honest. Who knew who the Secretary of State was before you walked in the room today? That's more than usual, okay? So I thank you for that. So, and that's because in Tennessee, by the way, I have never followed a Miss Texas before. So I'm not going to tell everybody what year when I get back to the office. I'm going to say, well, Miss Texas was right before me. That followed her. So, but congratulations to you. Glad to have you here in Tennessee. So most people would not have no idea how I'm elected. I don't think Rob described that a moment ago. Here in Tennessee, I'm one of 3 constitutional officers that's elected by the legislature. So there's 132 people in this state that can vote for me. It's a less expensive campaign than some other states. More nerve-wracking, perhaps, than some other states. But there's, like I said, 132 people can vote for me. And so when Republicans gained the majority in 2008 and 2009, they elected me as the Secretary of State. And I'm now in my 18th year of doing the job. I did have dark hair back at that time, and we've seen a lot of change. By the way, the comptroller and treasurer both get elected to a 2-year term. I get a 4-year term. If you're curious why that is, it's because I'm twice as nice as they are. All kidding aside, my term is opposite of that of the governor. So what that means is, as y'all know, if you don't know this, please don't embarrass yourself and say that you didn't know this, but the governor is term limited. We're going to have a new governor elected this year. If the legislature were to flip from Republican to Democrat, we would have a new lieutenant governor, new speaker of the House, new comptroller, new treasurer, and the Secretary of State would be the only person to remain on the top 2 floors of the state capitol. 2 years from now, the governor will be midterm. If all those things just mentioned a moment ago about the legislature flipping happen, I would be out of office along with treasurer, comptroller, speaker of the House, lieutenant governor, but the governor would be midterm. The other thing that people tend to want to try and figure out is, where does the Secretary of State fit in the overall scheme of state government in the line of succession? The Secretary of State is 4th in the line of succession of state government. Now, that sounds really impressive for a moment, until those of you who watch the Olympics know this. There is no place for the 4th place medal on the medal stand, all right? So it sounds really impressive until I tell you there's a governor, lieutenant governor, speaker of the House, and way down here is the Secretary of State. So, and those of you who remember the old Life cereal commercials, give it to Mike, he'll eat anything. That's us. We're the Mikey of state government. We have all kinds of things that you look at and you think, if you look at the brochures we've given you, put on the table today,
if you look at those, you're thinking those things don't really make sense for those to all be together. So, but whenever you work for the legislature and the legislature says, hey, we've got a great idea, somebody should go do this. How about you? You tend to say, of course I will. And you think, absolutely, we'll try and figure out how to take those duties and do the best we can with them. And sometimes we go look for new and cool things to go do to fill voids that we find in state government elsewhere. Rob already mentioned our role in the world of businesses and charities. You know, those of you who have a limited liability corporation, limited liability partnership, corporation, nonprofit corporation, you filed those original documents with us. You file an annual report with us. Do we have any bankers or lenders in the room? Thank you. I was dying there for a minute. I was like, if nobody raised my hand, I have like 5 minutes of dead air here. No, just kidding. UCC filings. UCC is not submit major basketball conference to get to automatic bids and NCAA tournament, okay? It's a way of perfecting the interest of a piece of collateral for a lender to make sure somebody's not able to double up and try and borrow against that collateral twice. We handle a lot of those as well. We do summons, trademarks, apostilles. Apostilles are not like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, okay? It sounds different, it's spelled different. But if you've ever known someone who's adopted a child internationally or studied abroad, in all likelihood, they've had to have their transcript of those adoption papers have a notarization on them, but also an apostille from our office that does verify that that notary is in fact a legitimate notary here in the United States of America, so that the foreign government will in turn recognize that documentation. Another thing that people don't really realize that what we do is we play a big role in the world of libraries in two different ways. Number one is we have the State Library and Archives in our purview down at Bicentennial Mall. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to come by, visit us in the State Museum as well. We house the largest collection of genealogical search information found anywhere in the state of Tennessee. It's a fantastic place to come and do research. I will tell you, we're different than the museum. When you walk through the museum, you can walk through the museum in an hour or take a day. And you can walk around and point at things and ooh and ah. It's a very passive experience. So you come to our place, you really got to have some idea of what you want to learn that day, whether it's about your family, whether it's about a particular city or county, a different area of state government or other historical figures. You got to really kind of come ready to do a little research. We got cool exhibits down on the first floor, but ours is much more research oriented and hope that you will visit us. If you ever decide you do, we'll love to give you a backstage tour of the fantastic building that we have. But also in the world of libraries is we have 9 regional libraries around the state that are essentially libraries for libraries, where we provide training and technological support and materials for suburban and rural libraries. And I believe one of your new members back here, Ms. Calcode, is that your last name? Where you're talking about age appropriateness. One of the big things that we have been working on and is, made the evening news a little bit, made the newspapers, is I recently asked every library in the state to conduct a review of their materials. And I'm going to make a couple of statements here that I do not believe are contradictory, but some people like to say that they're contradictory. Number one, the library should be for everyone. Okay? Now, if the library were just for me, it would have a bunch of biographies and history books and sports books. It wouldn't have any science fiction. Okay? I'm not a sci-fi fan. But the library is not just for me. So we have things for everybody there. But the library ought to be a safe place to take your family. The library ought to be a place where you shouldn't have to worry about your child, your grandchild, your niece, your nephew walking to the library, pulling the book off the shelf and seeing something that they are not emotionally and intellectually capable of comprehending at that point. Okay? So it'll be a safe place. And some people come back and they say to me, well, parents ought to make those decisions. How many of you have taken a child to a grocery store before? A bunch of us, haven't we? There's a reason they don't put the breakables down the bottom shelf. I mean, you let your child out of that cart or whatever, and they're running around grabbing things, and they do the same thing when they go to the library. Okay? And a lot of people take their children to the library, and they're not tethered to them. And a child just like that can have a book and be looking at something they shouldn't be looking at. So every library in the state has the opportunity to make the right decisions about what they believe is age appropriate and what they ought to have or not have in their library. I have other people who come to me and say, well, government should be making that decision. You know what a library director is? A library is a government employee. who's making those very same decisions about the books that are buying and where they're placed in the library. I certainly think there's nothing wrong with having a board also engaged in that decision and making sure that the things that we have in the library, where we have them, are in fact reflective of the values of the community. So that's something else that we've been working on lately. But I don't know if you know this. If you don't, once again, please don't tell me, is that it's an election year. We're going to have elections this May. We're going to have election in August. We're going to have elections in November. A couple of things I want to point out. We have put a white piece of paper on the table. In fact, we put several of them, so you don't have to share too much, I don't think. But I know that some of you will want these for your Easter luncheon or brunch coming up. You know, if you ever sense a lull in the conversation at Easter brunch, just go ahead and take several of those, throw those on the table, and let the party begin. And y'all can talk about elections. Because anybody who's ever slept the Holiday Inn Express last night's an election expert. So Tennessee has been ranked #1 election integrity for the last 4 years in a row. All right. The Tennessee General Assembly, and through our efforts and the bipartisan efforts from around the state, we've been recognized for our efforts to make sure that every vote is counted once, no more, no less. And the fact that we actually follow our election laws here in Tennessee and don't color outside the lines. Now, by the way, I need to tell you, Arkansas tied us last year for #1 election integrity. A lot of people think I would be upset about that. Hey, listen, I'm happy for Arkansas. They never win anything. Okay? So let's be happy for them. All right? Especially after last night, that drubbing. Okay? So, but with that said, I'll tell you what I am a little upset about. I wish more states would emulate what we are doing so that we could all have confidence, not only in how our elections are being run here in the state of Tennessee, but also how they are running around the rest of the country. I mean, we've got a lot of great things in place. We're one of the states that passed a photo ID law way back in 2009 that's been upheld by the Supreme Court on multiple occasions. We don't mail ballots out to everybody. Tennessee is very much a place where people like to vote in person. In fact, prior to COVID, only about 2% of the people voted absentee in an election here in Tennessee. It spiked all the way up to 7% in the 2020 elections. Now it's gone back down to normal. We know that one of the most secure ways you can cast your vote is by going and voting in person. You know, we do audits. We do random audits of our election commissions and how they run elections, the process, procedures in place. We passed money in the budget a few years ago, thanks to the General Assembly, some savings that we had in our budget, as well as what the governor put in to make sure we had verified paper audit trails in every county around the state. And one of the most powerful things, though, is that Republicans and Democrats work together. Republicans keep an eye on Democrats. Democrats keep an eye on Republicans to work to make sure that you can know that your vote is counted accurately. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. Probably the biggest thing that we have to deal with during election year is sometimes it's intentional misinformation. A lot of times, well, by the way, anybody ever watch the show Homeland? Few of you have. If I mention the term UI, you know what I'm talking about? Useful idiot. Okay? There's a lot of people out there who are useful idiots. That they really, through the messages they put out there, the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians and North Koreans couldn't be happier. And I'll give you an example of that. Somebody during the 2020 election, in the aftermath of that, said, we can show you where all 95 county election commissions in Tennessee had votes split from from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. And they put together this long spreadsheet. I mean, all kinds of columns, rows for every county, all 95 counties, IP addresses, standard deviations, pre-election election night totals versus post-election night totals, all kinds of things. If you look at it thinking, wow, that's a lot of work, that must be true. So all 95 election commission websites were supposedly compromised. And that really works until I tell you this. Not all 95 counties even have an election commission website. So if we can figure out how to compromise a website that doesn't exist, let me tell you something, that's pretty cool. Okay? Because the bottom line is, I can't figure out a way where you could possibly flip a vote on an election commission website that doesn't exist. And furthermore, the election machines that you vote on and those paper ballots are not connected to the internet in any way. They're not connected to some server in Venezuela. They're not connected to even something down in Florence, Alabama. They're not even connected to something in downtown Nashville. And it's Democrats and Republicans together who certify the election afterwards. But let's not let the truth get in the way of a good argument. And those are the kinds of things we're battling each and every day. And I could go on and on and on and tell you stories about the things that have been said. One lady called me from Chattanooga, and she said, I got questions. I said, I'll do my best to answer. And it was in the wake of the 2020 election. They were still counting votes in Georgia. She asked me 14 different questions. We talked for 35 minutes. And afterwards, she said, boy, you seem like a really nice guy. And I thought, wow, I finally won a conversation today. This is great. She says, I just don't believe you. And so I said, the real shame of that is, I said, ma'am, I work each and every day to try and make sure that you can trust the integrity of your elections. I said, here's the things that we're doing day in and day out in a bipartisan way to make sure that Tennesseans can know that their vote was not canceled out by someone who's voting illegally and all these different things. I said, but you would rather trust somebody you're never going to meet that you saw on YouTube somewhere. And that is one of the things that's incredibly frustrating about what we do, especially during election year. Now, I'll talk a little bit about voter integrity, but on the other side of that coin, and I have a challenge for each of you, is that we are among the bottom 10 in voter registration, voter participation, which I find very disheartening. We've got one of the best states in the country. You live in one of the best communities in our state. We ought to want to go and make sure we continue to elect people to continue the wonderful progress that you have made here and we have made in the state. We're always just one election from stopping that progress or maybe even taking a step backwards. How you can help in that is when it comes election time, ask somebody else to go with you. Call your friends or your family, your co-workers, and ask them if they're registered to vote, and not just registered to vote, ask them if they've got a plan to go and vote. We have a program called the Your Vote Matters program, where we partner with businesses and nonprofit organizations around the state to push out messages to their membership, to their customers, to their co-workers that tell you when early voting starts, when it ends, hours of operation, how to register, how to change your voter registration address, how to find what's on your ballot. Frankly, we package all that up. We send it to you. If you want to take it, strip our information off of it, make it yours, you can do that. But we need to get trusted information out there about all of that election information, because frankly, what happens in the absence of that is, once again, the useful idiots get on X or get on Facebook or whatever, and it'll be election day, and they'll say, hey, tomorrow's election day, make sure everybody goes to vote. And I spend part of my afternoon calling every TV station, emailing the radio stations, everybody else, and putting a message on social media saying, no, election day is today. Or then somebody will go on and say, I heard that the polling places are going to be closed at noon, and we have to go back out and we have to take all this information and get it right. Because there's a lot of people out there who don't mean to be wrong, but they're wrong, and we have to battle that. And we need to make sure that we get all the right information out there so we can encourage Tennesseans to vote. We had 5 elections in 2024 that ended in ties. Now, if you're a local elected official and you deal in low turnout, one of the most frustrating things is after an election, you see somebody at church, you see them at the Rotary Club, and they come up to you and say, man, if I'd known it was going to be close, I'd have gone and voted for you. And you just want to take your hands and reach out and choke the living you know what out of them. And because in a lot of these local races, we got less than 10% of people go and vote. And if you have a 2-person race, somebody could win a race with 5% of the total electorate who's making decisions that affect 100% of the community. So think about what's at stake. And so we need to make sure that we get more people who are knowledgeable about community affairs and their hopes and dreams of the community, and get them out to go and vote. All right. So I'm asking for your help in that, because it matters. These elections have consequences. And Rob mentioned our mission statement a while ago. A couple of things I'm very passionate about that we ought to be able to run a state department with business-like principles. I got a lot of horror stories from the beginning of my tenure there back in 2009. I think the statute of limitations has run out, so it's safe to tell some of these stories. But, there's one day in particular, I called a phone number in our department, and I used to just call random phone numbers to see how people answer the phone. Now, I was in high school, that was prank phone calling. Now it's management. And one day in particular, this lady answered the phone. You could tell she had a plate full of biscuits and grouchy. I mean, she was upset that she had to answer her phone. Rob, she actually worked for you. Okay. Yeah. It was no reflection upon you. It was in spite of you, to be clear. And as she answered the phone, I mean, this really gruff voice, hello. And I said, hey, did I catch you at a bad time? She said, I'm trying to work. I said, well, you know, the customer who's calling you has something they're trying to get done. That's why they're calling you. And she says, I'm trying to get things done too. I said, well, ma'am, the phone on your desk is not an inconvenience to you. I said, in fact, it's the reason you have one is to answer phone calls from customers and help Tennesseans. I said, and Tennesseans don't call just to bother you. Tennesseans call because they need your assistance with something. But you ought to be more worried about it when that phone quits ringing, you quit getting emails, and nobody ever stops by your desk to need something. I said, when that happens, you can go find something else to do. The bottom line is we have the unique opportunity as Tennessee State employees to serve our fellow Tennesseans in ways big and small. And sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's one family, sometimes it's one business, sometimes it's one club, sometimes it's millions of Tennesseans. And the difference for us is, though, we're the only state government you have. And there's really two paths that could go down. Number one, we could say we're a monopoly and you need us and we don't need you. And that's absolutely the wrong attitude to have. The right attitude for us to have is we are the only ones who can do what we do. And that makes it that much more important. We do it with respect, and we do it with courtesy, and we're good stewards of your time and your money. Like I said, nobody ever calls my office and says, put me back on hold. I love the music. All right. I know it's hard for y'all to believe, as charming and as witty as I am, nobody ever shows up at the office with sack lunch and says, Trey, take your time. I'm just going to hang out for a while. I got a couple hours. Every minute we waste of yours is one less minute you have to put the things you want to put into. People don't visit a state office building for fun. If you think they do, let's go down to the Department of Revenue or Driver's Testing Center and let's see how many people you see smiling, walking in there and standing in line. Okay? The other thing is, every dollar we take from you is a sacrifice on your part. We ought to be good stewards of your taxpayer dollars. Every dollar we take from you is one less dollar you have to put in your pancake breakfast. It's one less dollar you have to put into your families. It's one less dollar you have to put in your children or grandchildren's college education, in your future. The most dangerous place for those dollars is in a state bank account somewhere doing nothing and not doing anything to serve you. So and if you take out the impact of cost of living raises that we've given out across state government, our budget and our department is less today than it was back in 2009. We've gone from 445 funded positions to 324 employees. Okay. And I didn't see anybody rushing to grab their checkbook or say, hey, Trey, you need more people, you need more money. We ought to live within our means. And we ought to make sure that those dollars stay in your pocket and that time stays in your account instead of just with us. And that's how we're trying to run our office each and every day, recognizing that we've been given a privilege to serve our fellow Tennesseans in ways big and small. And every transaction, every process we have, every piece of paper ought to have a customer. If we can't figure out who the customer is, we ought to quit doing those things and figure out how to use the bandwidth that we have to go do other things and fill voids and make a difference in the lives of Tennesseans. Last thing I'll mention and how we're doing that is we recently created a Tennessee Business Against Trafficking program. The second fastest growing criminal enterprise in the country is human trafficking. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like most good ideas, I stole it from somebody else, okay? We saw a couple other states that are doing this, and we're engaging the business and nonprofit communities in how to recognize the signs of human trafficking. And then just as importantly, when you see it, knowing what to do. And now we've got a training module. We'll come do it in person, we do it virtually, or we can even give it to personnel or human resource departments, and they can use it during onboarding of employees. And we're trying to train Tennesseans how to recognize the signs and know what to do with it. We got a long state, and a lot of people think, well, that's just human trafficking is something that happens in Nashville, that happens in Memphis. That doesn't affect us here. There are reports of human trafficking in all 95 counties around our state. And there are so many misconceptions about human trafficking. And they think they've seen the movie Taken, and that's how it works. More often than not, the person who is being trafficked by someone they know. In many cases, even a family member is the person trafficking that person. There's a lot of things that we can help put to rest and help show people what to look for. So that's one way we're trying to serve our fellow Tennesseans and increase bandwidth and opportunity we've been given to serve. Y'all took all my time with the happy dollars today. So I'm going to try and leave a few minutes left for questions. I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with you today. Thank you very much. And hey, listen, I'm glad you're happy. Okay, so I'd rather have y'all spending happy dollars and talk about the things that you have hallelujah moments for, even if it is LSU finding a new basketball coach.
Hey, thanks for speaking today. You make way too much sense, and that's what makes us proud. Question would be, what you're saying is so simple. What is the other states? Why do they have difficulty with? Why are we number one? I mean, we're doing our thing, right? We're doing apparently. Why is that so? I talked to other people from other states, and they say they have all kind of issues.
Yeah, I mean, different states have different cultures, and then frankly, I think there are political reasons other states want to do it the way they do it. And you know, I'm a firm, you know, some states, I firmly believe they will tell you they want everybody to vote, but they really just want their voters to vote. I'm a Republican, okay, but I'm not unhappy with Democrats' vote. I want everybody to go vote because I believe that makes us stronger as a society. And I think the Democrat Party, if they came out with good ideas, can help strengthen Republicans and vice versa. Some people don't look at it that way. They're trying to game it. For us, I believe the biggest turnout, the turn off to getting people to vote is believing that their vote will not be counted accurately. And so I'm trying to reinstill confidence here, and I wish other states would follow.
Thank you for taking the time, sir. Every time I have called, I have been received very pleasant. So you definitely have.
Thank you.
You mentioned about the example of library, the selection of books. Why not to do the same what a supermarket does? Put the books which are not appropriate just higher, the kids can reach. What I'm saying is that not limiting, but finding solutions where everybody could have access to what they want at the right age. And I'm 100% with you that there should be an age appropriate. We're just finding a solution that everybody else would.
You know, in theory, it should be that way because you've got the juvenile section, you've got the young adult section, you've got the adult section in different places there. You know, to me, I don't know why there are certain books you just don't not have to have in a juvenile section. So you make a very valid point. Truthfully, we always thought we figure out what I'll be in the juvenile section, period.
So thank you for speaking today. I'm curious of your opinion and how it would affect Tennessee if it passes, but the SAVE Act. I've heard a lot of maybe information. I know high level. So if you could just talk about that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the SAVE Act, a lot of that, frankly, takes the things that Tennessee has already done or, you know, is doing right now and tries to make those apply nationally. So it won't be a big impact here in Tennessee, but I would go ahead and tell you, I do worry that if it were to pass right now, it will be total chaos in some states implementing it that fast in time for the August and November elections. That's it. Guys, thank y'all very much. Appreciate your time and courtesy.
So we do have a gift.
Okay.
Thank you for coming today. It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meet you. I do want to hear stories about your brother before we leave. I'm going to put the book right there. We read to first graders here in the local community. So if you wouldn't mind signing it, we'd love to share that with them about your time with us.
Thank
Tell
you
them
very
what
much.
Secretary of State even is at a young age.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Trey, his paparazzi. Thank you for coming. Jason Cook, welcome back to the room. Laura, your friend Jody, where's she at? Good to see you. Shandy, David, and Ty. And I'm not going to thank our new members because you're members now, so you don't get the special treatment anymore. And we're going to take your blood after the fact. I'm just kidding. Okay, next week is Good Friday. We are not meeting. Repeat me. We are not meeting. There. I will send that out next week in reflections, but we are not having a meeting. So don't show up. Okay. Is there anything else? I think that's good. Go out there and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night at Bob's house and make it a good weekend.